Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. You are listening to Laidback Leya. Still can't get used to the title of it. But hey, yeah, it's me, Leia, and you are listening to this podcast with Adopts TV. Today, I'm getting all broody once again because if you may know, you may not know, I have 4 children, twin girls, age 9, a 3-year-old boy, and a 10-month-old boy. And as every other child lah, especially, they all have their individual needs. Even my twins, they will never ever let anyone hear them say, oh, I'm exactly like my twin. No, they'll have to have something different about them. So that, and my twins are pretty much, like okay, no issues whatsoever yet. My sons are also okay. Maybe Ali's a bit hyperactive, which I could use an extra day with a BB, to take him off my hands. But yeah, that's in case my husband is listening. Otherwise, it's all okay. It's all, I don't want to use this word, but normal. So, okay, because I can never give you a proper, definition of the word normal. So, but never mind. For lack of a better term, normal it is. So today we're going to be talking a lot about kids. Without that using that word. We're trying not to use that word in the negative or in the positive. We're going to use special needs. Special attention, okay? Children with special needs or who needs special attention, with 2 very, very relatable people, for me at least. One, of course, if you guys follow Dops TV a lot, or basically Dops TV, you know her inside out. You know what she looks like, and you know her voice, and you recognize her tone and her accent, because she has one, which is like really, really distinctive. Okay, so
I don't have accent.
yeah, you don't have accent? No, of course. It's Siu Lim. Yes, and you probably know Siu Lim is very, very, very passionate about how do I say, the lifestyle, the yoga, the peaceful, the what's it called, the healthy lifestyle. Healthy, yeah. Are you healthy, Siu Lim?
I am.
You really?
Yeah, I am.
Like, really?
Why do you get shocked when I say I am?
No, I don't know, because
You think I fake it?
no, yeah,
fake
well,
that?
sad sometimes, I mean, like, you just had like creamy butter chicken for lunch.
You had creamy butter chicken. I just watched you eat it.
Yeah, really, okay. Yeah, so the munching by my side on my left was nothing lah. Okay, fine. But yeah, she's also no stranger to Dops TV. We all know her as a single mother of 4. Her kids are awesome. A certified Pilates instructor. But what you may not know, actually I did not know this until yesterday, was that Siu Lim teaches at a center that caters to the children that we're going to be talking about, that who needs special attention, special needs, right? And she brought along her colleague, Daniel Zain. Now, Daniel, Siu Lim, we're going to continue with you later. I've got like loads of questions to ask you, despite everybody at Dops TV already knowing who you are, what you do, and how you...
Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah,
I'll just
but
sit back and
you can also follow her to know what her beauty regime is on her Instagram. Yeah. So, but Daniel,
eating healthy.
Okay, fine. I'll start tomorrow. Daniel, I watched the video. Somebody forwarded me a video of you and your son, focusing more on your son Isa.
Yes.
And the journey you all took, which was amazing because it started from when Isa was how old? About how old was he? A few months.
A year and a half is when we started seeing he was declining, or regressing, as they call it.
Regressing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so by 2 years and 2 months, it was clear we needed to get help.
Okay. So now this is where I would like you to maybe give us a bit more of an introduction. Like, how did you? You obviously did not start out in education, in
No.
general. Yeah. So what's your background, and then what made you?
Well, I was from a design background, and I was a photographer for a number of years. And then when we got our son, we started seeing again. He was growing up very normal, you know. He was having laughter. He had eye contact, you know, as you saw in the video.
Yeah.
And then he started going downhill. He started losing his speech. He just had like dada, mama, but he knew what dada and mama meant, you know. He stopped playing the way he played with toys and all that.
Right.
And then, so what happened was, as it normally is, at one point the wife, typically it's the wife, who said,
Watch yourself.
something's up with our son.
Ah, okay.
You better get him checked. I mean, let's set an appointment for him to be assessed. Otherwise, you're sleeping on the sofa, you know.
Okay, okay.
I'm boycotting you until you get this sorted out.
All right, yes,
This is
she's
exactly right.
awesome. Okay.
So boycott. So I said, okay, I'm on it, right? So I mean, I remember vividly. We were at KLCC Park.
Okay.
Okay, we were at the water play area.
All right.
There was another kid that came, and they were roughly the same age as my son at that time,
Okay.
about 2 years old. And then he came, and we could see the stark difference between that boy. He was so bubbly, and he came to us and wanted to say hi. And my son at that point just couldn't stop putting his hand in the water and seeing it drip from his fingers. And
Right,
a lot of
right,
autistic
right.
kids love to see reflections in water, and over, and he was totally oblivious to everything else around him.
I see. Had you known already? Had you brought Isa for a checkup
Not
at
yet.
that point?
That was not yet.
Okay. Okay.
A few weeks later is when we got the appointment to get him assessed properly.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, up to that point,
But how did you know though? Okay. We'd like to think that we live in a community or in a society where we all know. You know, we can tell. This symptom is of that and this and that. But how? When honestly, it's not lah. Actually, can you know? People still get oversensitive over stuff like this. So what did you see that made you go, okay, I'm going to assess him for this? Or did you just bring him to a GP and like macam aduh bat tak?
right? No, I mean, if you've been paying attention to your kid up to that point, you know, you can see when your child is starting to become different. You know,
Yeah.
right? If you have the bubbly child, which Isa was, he was very bubbly, right?
Yeah.
Like super big smile, and then that he's no longer smiling at all on a daily basis.
Yeah.
He's always flat. He's spitting on his arms and legs. You know, something sensory happening here. I mean, you can be in denial, or you can say, "Hey, I think
Let's
we got to
check.
get checked, right?"
Right.
And I think the hardest thing for parents is to say that I don't know.
Yeah.
To say I don't know, that's the hardest part, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I better meet someone who may know or might know. So yeah, I think just admitting that I don't know what's up here.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Isa's your first child.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and only child, right? So, was that something that helped the whole? I don't know. You know, it's my first child, and I don't know. So, was there a moment of panic from either you or your wife, despite the threat to if you don't get anything done, you're going to be sleeping on the couch?
Yeah, I mean, the couch was quite comfortable, so I wasn't too worried about the couch.
Okay, right. No panic there. Okay.
You know, all men prepare a nice couch in case you have to.
Right.
What I'm saying is, you know what? One thing, alhamdulillah, I mean, my wife and I, we are fairly curious people,
Okay.
right?
Right.
You put us down a path to find out about something, we'll go down, sometimes too deep into the rabbit hole, you know. But
Right.
we love reading, we love,
Okay.
you know, so that helped. So when she gave me the ultimatum, I said, okay, great. And what then happened was we got very deeply into the whole research about it. And frankly, my photography business went down.
Oh, I
because
see, okay.
I couldn't concentrate on both.
Yeah, I
you
can
know.
imagine, yeah.
And so we got it checked, and we actually started some at-home stuff before even the assessment date came along. We're like, why do we need to wait for that?
Right,
You know,
right.
If they say do this and that at home, what can you do as parents? We started straight away without, you know.
Wow.
So we went based on the symptoms. You know, we didn't really need to get the official diagnosis to know that I think he's on the spectrum based on what we saw on the websites.
Right.
I mean, proper websites, right? We were like, yeah, I think he's autistic.
Okay.
What can we do now? Right. So the black and white assessment was just to help us. What do we do from then onwards? What
Right.
services are available? Things like that.
And maybe understand a bit more about the
Yeah, for sure.
spectrum and everything, because you mentioned earlier that the autistic spectrum is not what everybody thinks. You know, it's usually for me lah, when I think about the autistic spectrum, it's okay. So it can either be step 1, 2, 3, or 4. You know,
Yeah.
what do you call that?
Yeah.
lateral, horizontal kind of a list.
Yes.
It's like one, if you're not one, you're two. If you're not two, you're three, and then it'll lead to that. But in actual fact, it is a larger spectrum.
It's a very large spectrum. I mean,
Yeah.
you have classically defined now type 1, 2, and 3 autism or classical autism. In the past, there was Asperger's syndrome, Asperger's. It's no longer called that. It's now
Okay.
type 1 autism.
Oh,
And
right.
so basically from mild to severe, on the simplistic terms, mild to severe autism.
Right,
And then you have, again, depends on the individual. You might have some individuals who cannot talk,
right. Yeah, the
can't
verbal.
read, can
no,
write.
Wow.
Some are very verbal.
Right.
I'm actually just curious to know, as a parent, when you finally admitted to yourself what the real case was, how did you actually feel? How did you manage to move on?
Yeah.
Well, so, I mean, emotions are so
Because that's
many
hard.
emotions.
I mean, having
Yeah,
a
no,
child
for real,
itself-
yeah.
Okay, I think
I-
the overriding thing is fear.
Uh-huh.
The first thing is fear, fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why, that's one of the leading causes of suicide among parents of autistic children. In Singapore, just last month, a father killed his daughter and then killed himself. Because when you're the primary caretaker, and for the severe ones especially, and you don't see a path forward,
Yeah.
who's going to take care of her?
Yeah.
Him. And many times people don't step up to the plate, you know.
Right.
Even family members tend to like
Yeah,
anyone
yeah.
but
It's a
me, you
lot.
know.
Yeah.
And so that's what happens, right? And so the despair. As a Muslim, I'll never agree to that solution.
Of course, of
But
course.
I understand
Yeah.
what drove that person.
Of course, yeah.
You know.
I mean, it's hard to I mean, nowadays there's so many titles to these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you wonder at what point
Yeah.
does it get too much to keep titling everything? You know, like you
Exactly,
said, there's
yeah.
so many different levels
Right.
Yeah.
of on this, you know, on the
spectrum,
spectrum,
yeah.
and then you have one that's autistic, and then
Yeah.
at one point you kind of wonder, is it? I mean, do you think titling it is
The diagnosis and the diagnosis, whatever
name-
the plural of that
the
word
name,
is, right,
yeah.
is useful if it helps you to act, right?
Right.
Right. It's just it's describing a particular set of symptoms your kid has.
Okay. And
But
how you
too
going
many
you
people use it to
adjust.
define the entire child. Right. You forget that this person is a human first.
Right,
A
right.
kid
Okay.
who has that particular challenge.
Right.
But when it comes to parents, professionals, we tend to see the autism first, the Down syndrome first, the CP first, cerebral palsy first.
Right, right, right.
And everything is then decided based around that thing.
see.
And at times we lose sight of the big picture. Like,
that they are humans. And
yeah, and
yeah.
happiness matters. So how can
Right.
I need to learn how to interact happily with my child. So
Right.
that's the thing. When I went to America, I was deciding what type of training do I need, because I knew we needed to learn how to help our son directly. We couldn't just rely on others, right? No matter how much money we had. And the thing we chose was like to learn how to interact with joy.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
I being in education in this sort of
Yes.
industry, you see all sorts of stories. I mean, you
Right.
see
Yeah.
the parents who have a child that's autistic or on the spectrum, they're in denial. So then what happens is that they start treating the kid as normal, which I think is not correct, because they start I don't know if it's correct to say mistreating the child, not giving a fair advantage to the child.
Forgetting that they actually there's a reason why they call it special needs, because they need
Special
that something
attention.
extra.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Siu Lim, I need to now I'm gonna harass you. Okay.
Joy. That's why I
Please do.
came.
Yay! Okay, so now Siu Lim, we all know your background, right? Daniel mentioned about the parent of the autistic child in Singapore recently, and my God, that just breaks my heart. But Siu Lim, you come from your backstory is not exactly one filled with roses and rainbows and colorful and all that, which you've been so brave to share with some of us. And your work with these children with special needs started only after that whole drama phase ended, right? But okay, so you've got that. You left that part behind, and then what made you want to lend a hand? Because I understand, if from Daniel's perspective, he has a child who went through all that, so he basically, I mean, I can't say, of course, but you basically knew what you were in for, with other children. Siu Lim, your kids are, again, for lack of a better word, normal-ish. Well, from our
Right.
mother's perspective, memang never normal, kan? But, but, so, why? What made you get into it?
I think because of the fact that because when I was really depressed, I started lacking attention to my kids. They weren't getting the attention that a mother was supposed to give them. And I knew of some other friends who had autistic kids, and I just felt that they were really special. Like just like how I really felt like the attention they needed, it gave me joy. It gave me joy to know that, like you said, when the joy of being with them, the joy of just playing with them, that made me happy. I mean, I've forgotten about my kids, and just it gave me a whole new world teaching these kids.
I
Honestly,
see.
it made me feel like it was the world is actually it's so big,
Yeah.
and also it was just so many things. It was I can't even explain it. It was just so many things where I felt the emotion that I felt behind it. It actually filled the holes I had. And it's an indescribable feeling, because you would think that people are like, oh yeah, it's really hard teaching these kids, and it is, but there's something about it that at the end of the lesson where they got something out of it. And to see these kids improve in so many ways, it just makes you feel so much better. And then on top of it, it helped me understand my children a lot more.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that. Did it affect anything between
Oh
the
yeah,
relationship?
it affected my relationship. It got me a lot more patient with them. I mean, quote unquote, you want to say they're normal? Yeah, they're normal. But they, every child
Yes.
has something.
Yeah.
That we're always struggling with.
Yeah. And it's individual, it's like number one doesn't like this particular color to the extent where she'll throw
Everything.
things out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is something kan. So okay, it's playing in my head the fact that Daniel mentioned that anyone, teachers, educators, specialists, parents tend to forget that that they have a certain special need and whatnot. Okay, so is there a chance, because it's a human being with different behavioral strengths or weaknesses, physical strengths, weaknesses, and everything, is it possible for that one person to outgrow or leave the spectrum altogether? Has that been?
Well, I had a case where the child came in the center at 9-10 years old. I actually don't know the statistical facts on this, right? But the child came in and he was on the spectrum. He had abnormal behaviors where, he would speak really close to you. He would say things that were a bit inappropriate or rude. And people, and an outsider would actually think, oh my gosh, what is wrong with this child? He's so rude. Why aren't the parents teaching him lessons? But over the years, what happened is he kept coming into the center. And I think by the age of, I think he was 16 when I last saw him, he became he was so aware of his condition that he actually became, it's like as if he knew when to switch on and off or something. I actually can't even explain it, but how would you explain that? And he knew that he wasn't normal, but he knew how to control what he was and was not supposed to do, even though he wanted to let it out. For example, I'll tell you a funny story. He was reading a book and it was about girls, and he was 16, and he basically said, oh, I like girls, and it was sweet. And then he stopped and he paused and he was like, wait, am I allowed to say something like that?
Oh wow.
Yeah. So what would you explain? Like, do you think?
Well, it's so complex, Okay, going back to your first question first.
Right.
If you look at the stats, I know Dr. Lynn Kogel from the Autism Center at UCSD, University of California, San Diego. There's a book called Overcoming Autism, and the stats show about 20% or so end up when you get reassessed,
Right.
end up losing the diagnosis.
Oh,
Alright?
okay. So,
So I mean, it's a clinical diagnosis, right? You're
Right.
observing somebody, you're basing on observation and questionnaires, and you're trying to come to your best guess
Right.
as to what's going on. We know causation is very complex. No two are alike. Okay.
wait, okay.
Causation. What causes autism, for example, right?
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And so it's very complex.
Alright.
If not, we know it's multifactorial.
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, now if you look at the most recent report from Autism Speaks, they say autism is a whole body disorder. Okay. For some, it's deeply genetic, deeply rooted in the brain.
Right.
For some, you have deep gastrointestinal issues, immunodeficiencies, and all that.
Right.
So it's possible that for some kids, the comorbid health issues are the main challenges, right? And
Okay.
when those get sorted out,
Right.
right, when you heal the body enough, to a certain point, they tip out of the spectrum,
I see. Okay.
right?
So physically, they kind of outgrow. I'm so sorry. I'm using layman term because
worries,
I
no
tak
worries.
bijak.
Yeah.
So,
So it's
okay.
entirely possible, right?
Right.
Because there are about 12 criteria, for example.
Okay,
and if
okay.
you fit 8 out of 12, then you are on the autism spectrum.
All right.
So if you get reassessed and now you only have 4 out of 12, you no
So
longer
technically-
qualify, right?
Yeah.
And so some people like to get stuck on, is he not autistic or not?
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah,
really
yeah.
matter. It's based on the symptoms and hey, can you function? Are you happy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting too stuck on is he autistic or not is a
Yeah,
pointless
again, it's the
debate.
title.
Yeah.
They're so stuck on the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's why there's very little understanding in that sense because right over here we have to have titles.
Right.
I mean,
I would say,
You know,
to
I
be
mean-
fair, especially in America, it's very title-driven. I'll give an example. I think in Malaysia, the assessment process is, unfortunately, I would prefer a more, certain parts of Europe is much more holistic.
Okay.
Right. For example, I have a friend in Norway. For a diagnosis to happen, basically, you bring in a kid, right, to the kindergarten. Is a process of 3 to 4 days.
Okay.
You have the psychologist,
Right.
there, you have the teacher, you have a doctor, you have the parents,
Yep.
and there's video cameras in a typical setting. Because when you bring a kid for first time to any place,
Yeah.
is it fair to assess a kid based on 1 or 2 hours?
Yeah.
No.
No. Yeah.
In the afternoon, they might be different. In the morning, they're different.
Yeah.
The next day.
Yeah.
It
So-
depends on what they had this morning,
Precisely.
Their
whether they
moods,
bathed or not, brushed their teeth,
Yeah.
everything is
Bingo.
affects, yeah.
So you want to see them over a period, and then you get an overview of how they were. Okay, and over here in America, it's pretty much a 2-hour process. You bring to a clinical psychologist or your developmental pediatrician, they view it. And for the most cases, yeah, if it's clear enough, you're going to get a clear case. But
Yeah.
for some of those kids, you do have that percentage, which is iffy, It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Neither
not
here nor
quite.
there kind of thing, yeah.
Right. And so that diagnosis can be, you can have that as false negative, right? Or
So-
false positive.
Yeah, so basically it's we should not rely too much on the titles, and especially
Yeah.
with autism, because it's a huge spectrum,
Yeah.
and there's that horizontal and vertical chart kind of thing that you have to picture in your brain and everything. How about we stop thinking of it in that sense and instead take
Yeah.
your approach? What brings them joy?
Yep.
And then when we try to do it, maybe that joy just bounces off them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because there's a moment in your video, I am extremely hard-headed and very difficult to crack. But I cried in my office watching that video, especially around the time where he looked up.
Yeah.
After years, after months and months and months of completely ignoring you and
Yeah.
with the spitting and everything, but after you had joined him, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Isa. You had joined him in his activities.
Yeah.
What brought him joy, and then he looked up and he looked at you. I couldn't see your face, but I was like, oh my God, mashallah, that moment. I mean, I'm sorry, you're very tall, very manly with the jambang and everything, but did you not crack at that moment in time?
After that,
Yeah.
I mean, not doing the session itself because you're so engrossed, you're so focused in like, wow, my son is looking at me
Yeah.
purposefully,
Yeah.
and not to request any food or anything, right? I mean,
Right.
to interact,
Yeah.
just pure interaction,
Yeah.
right?
To relate something
Yeah.
like, oh, he's doing something.
And so in our training, we call that a green light. So when you get a green light, you start building on it. You got to build on
Mashallah.
it, right?
Right.
So
Focus on
yeah, it's a different way of looking at it. I'm glad in Malaysia more of the developmental, social, relational based interventions are starting to take a footing here, not those that were just purely behavioral.
Yeah.
I have nothing against the dominant ways, but I think many kids, we often overlook the importance of motivation,
Yeah,
of joy,
that's right.
things like that.
Okay, so now with Siu Lim, with your children, I think maybe you can, because I realize, okay, when we're fixated on the titles and everything, okay, so, okay, this child is autistic, this child is Down syndrome, this child is exceptional, or this child is, and then what happens to our kids? Do you know what I mean? Oh, you guys don't fall under any particular category, so never mind lah, you're free on your own. Do you know what I mean or not? Do you do that? Do you compare like sorry, my 10-month-old is already standing. My 3-year-old started standing and walking only when he was 1. But talking at 6 months, 7 months, and you can hear, yeah, mama, papa, baba, nenin, drink the susu, and stuff like that. At 7 months, clear. You knew what he wanted, and and he knew what he wanted, and he could say it. So now I'm freaking out a little bit because 10-month-old Ayan is not so chatty, but he's advanced when it comes to the physical bits. Do you do that? Do you compare
yeah.
timelines and everything?
Oh yeah, and I think we are so fixated on the timeline where at a certain age they have to talk, at a certain age they have to walk, at a certain age they have to read a book.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
because like I think in Malaysia especially, it's like 5-6 years old they expect them to read completely. I think that's a lot of pressure for a little kid.
Right.
I think that kids should be kids, and instead of, again, it's the same thing whether your child is normal or has social disorders, but you have to focus on the positives with things. And like you Daniel said, green light, and work on that. If you keep nitpicking at the little things like, they can't read because they're already 5.5 years old and they can't read.
Yeah.
It's gonna stress them out.
Yeah.
Why are you stressing yourself out?
Right.
That emotion goes on to the kids. I have 4 kids, as you may know, and all of them were different in every single way possible.
Exactly.
And you have to treat them as an individual. And the mistake that we keep doing with any child is that we keep comparing each other's child. I mean, Daniel's got a special need child. Yes, true, but at the same time, it's his child.
Yeah.
And he works with that child.
Yes.
And he's got a relationship with that child, and he shouldn't compare his child with any other other child.
Yeah.
And it's the same with us.
Yeah.
We have our own kids. We need to work on it. We need to not be so fixated on that timeline. Yes, work with it, but not stress about at what age they should be reading, what age they should be learning the multiplications. I actually have a friend that's unschooling their kids.
Oh, brilliant. Oh my gosh.
It's working out well for her.
I think we should start that too.
Yeah.
Because everything's so rigid. It's like, okay, by a certain time, all right, standard 3. You're 3 years old. Oh, I'm guilty of this. I already want to enroll my Ali in kindergarten. Okay, but my husband turns around and like, are you sure the kindergarten's ready for him?
3 years old.
He seems advanced, which is true because we're having conversations with this 3-year-old, like real clear conversations, and I'm afraid that if he goes to school and he won't make any friends there because everybody's still learning their ABCs and he's counting up to 10 already.
Right.
So do you know what I mean? So that hit something in my head. So okay, if that's the case with me and Ali, what is it advisable to implement that green light system with every other child? I mean, like, okay, you see where their strong points are and then you work on that.
I think it is.
Yeah?
What do you think?
Yeah.
I think it is. Why not work with what you have instead of focusing on what your child can't do? Because again, I like I said, that's the energy part where you focus on, you're so fixated on what they can't do. Why don't you focus on what they can do?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then build up from there. They get better, and naturally the rest comes into place. I think we're too focused on a timeline. They should be reading at this and should be reading that. It really, I think it stresses the child out, and it stresses the parent out, whereas we're just actually supposed to be spending time with each other.
Yeah.
And I think we tend to see. So one of the things I do is parent training, right? I mentioned that, but specifically on the part for the diet and nutrition part of things, right?
Yes.
So my wife and I started this thing called Sihat Autism, right? Where we train parents. You know why? Now you want our kids to learn.
Right.
You have a challenged kid, you want to improve their cognition and all that. If your kid is not getting enough sleep, is not getting enough of the nutrients, how is the brain going to create new neural cells, right? The brain is an organ.
Yeah,
it's a physical organ,
It has
right?
to be fed. It has to be
Precisely, and it doesn't survive on just oxygen or just air.
Yeah.
And so you have kids. A common feature of autistic kids is very picky and restricted eating. One of the kids I worked with who only drank chocolate milk, no solid food at 6 years old.
Oh my goodness. Right.
Now check out what the pediatrician said. I'm not dissing pediatricians, right? I mean, very important. But this particular pediatrician, right, said, as long as you mix it with some formula milk, he's getting all the nutrition he needs. He doesn't need to eat solid food.
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
Wow. But we know when it comes to eating, you're developing your jaw muscles, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not exercising your jaw muscles, you can't enunciate. You can't pronounce words properly.
Can't speak
And
clearly lah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He had a speech delay. So if you tell that to a speech therapist and nutritionist, they're like, wait a minute, eating is not just putting stuff in.
Right.
It's a whole process, right?
Yeah.
And not seeing the big picture is one of the problems we have now when it comes to special needs. Everybody's in their own silo and just giving their own opinion based on their own narrow specialty.
Yeah.
We need people to communicate, to see the kid as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah.
And I think that, like Daniel said, diet in any child is so important. It really helps develop every single part of their system, and I really feel like being an example as a parent, we need to be examples for these kids. Eat our vegetables, whatever we tell them, eat our vegetables, and
she's
you know what I'm getting at, right?
inching
She's
towards giving me a lecture so that I'll rub off on my kids. Okay, Siu Lim. So that would bring us to the next episode sometime in 2019. Okay, but we are really running out of time. Oh, we can go on and on with this. I haven't even asked you about parental guilt and stuff like that, especially with Daniel, because we're hoping that you guys do have another child, but maybe we get yay. I love my producer. She's so pretty and she's so kind. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you about that. So you mentioned earlier, I'm sorry I'm mentioning it on the podcast now, but you and your wife may be looking to try to have another child, which is inshallah, and may Allah ease. But do you foresee that guilt? Because you know what I mean. I felt guilt. Like overcompensating kind of thing.
Guilt in what? Okay, you mean in terms of having a second child?
Yeah.
For me, I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for my wife,
Of
right?
course. Yes.
It's more like, can I give the best to my second child if I get one?
All right.
There's more fear of the unknown as well. We know statistically up to 25% there's a chance your second child will be autistic as well.
I see. Okay.
So 1 in 4.
All right.
I didn't know.
So
I did not know
right,
that.
there's genetics, there's math involved in there as well.
Okay.
But as Muslims, we believe in Allah decides.
Yes.
So we got to trust in that 75%
Inshallah.
or the 100% that is God.
Yes, inshallah.
But there's math involved,
Yeah.
right? So taking that into account, we got to be realistic as well. So you got to set in your mind now.
Yeah,
Okay, we're gonna have a second child. If he's autistic as well, are we okay with that? All right, let's have a second child.
Okay.
At this point, it's as simple as that, as scary as it is. He might be autistic. Are we okay? We're okay. Chun, let's have a second child. That's all you can do.
MashaAllah.
That's all you can do. If you're not comfortable with that, then don't have a second child.
Yeah, try your best lah. Yeah.
Try.
Yeah.
But if you're not ready for the possibility of him being autistic, the second one being challenged as well, better not.
But
Yeah.
I actually think that it's not just about emotional, but okay, let's be real here.
Yeah.
Financially.
Yeah.
How does that work financially?
Yeah.
Stuff, right? I mean, in case of my wife and I, when it comes to finance and special needs, many people go bankrupt.
Yeah.
Okay, in Malaysia, it's challenging because to get the level of one-to-one or the level of education, which typically you get for free in some countries, right?
Yeah.
Now, it took them many years to get to that point in those countries, like 30, 40 years to get to that
Oh,
point.
goodness, yeah.
So it's not fair for Malaysia. We still got...
We're new.
We're new, right?
Yeah, it's a country.
You got to set aside 3,000 to 5,000 ringgit at least.
What, a month?
A month, yeah. The place where my son was diagnosed is 10,000 ringgit a month, yeah. Right.
Handbag.
Yeah, see, okay. So there's a difference. Whether or not the thought of, because we already have 4 kids, right? Between the two of us. No, not between the two of us, each.
8.
Yeah, sorry. We have 8 kids between myself and Siu Lim. So the idea of 3,000, 4,000 a month per child
Per
is...
child, yeah.
Dude, what? Yeah, we won't have a choice but to eat healthy. You know, air, healthy water, and healthy sand.
Yeah.
Yeah. My goodness.
And
Clay.
so I have friends who sold their
Dirt.
houses. I have friends who have sold their homes to be
Yeah.
able to finance the education part.
Mashallah,
Now,
mashallah.
so, and my wife, she couldn't work because,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, focus, time and energy
Yeah.
and financial and
Yeah.
everything. There was focus needed
Yeah.
there. Mashallah. And Isa currently is now what? 2015, right?
he's
S-
8.
8.
He's 8. Yes. No. 2015. Eh?
I think he
2015.
I don't know
has
where
his
you
own
got
Yeah,
that
sorry,
number.
2015. No, sorry, I'm thinking about Ali. You see?
Right.
Because Ali was born in 2015. Why did I do that? Okay, so yeah, sorry. Yeah, so he's 8. My twins are 9. So yeah, I waited quite a bit before I had my Ali, and so proving to be quite a challenge as well. So yeah, okay. So for parents in general out there, lah, okay. What would be your thoughts? I mean, when it comes to education or your expectant, your what's the word? Expectations. Expectations of your child. You know, what would be your advice for parents in general?
I think you're your best advocate for your child. We know our children best if we choose to know them, right? In other words, invest time in learning how to communicate. I think communication
Yeah.
with your
One-on-one,
face,
yeah, okay.
your gestures, your
Right.
smile, knowing that matters, right? So at a young age, it's less what you say and more what you do as well.
Right.
Okay, and showing, if you have siblings, for example, leading by example. What it means to wake up, what it means to wake up to be happy. Kids will see that, you know. And when I work with my severe kids who are like can't speak, have trouble even looking at you, being that beacon of like, hey, I'm here, I'm happy to be here with you. They get that energy.
And I
you know?
noticed with autistic kids, actually, they are very observant.
Yeah.
They pick up on everything. I mean, my children, they pick up on everything. But you know, yeah. So you have to be so careful. You're walking on thin ice there. You have to be
Right,
so
right.
careful what you say, how to act,
Right.
when to smile.
When to smile? Okay, all
Scold,
right.
laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the disciplining of the child as well, I suppose, right? I mean, like you can't exactly go up to them and what's it called? Tap them on their hands and then you bub up. No, you can't do that. I mean, like it's gonna fall flat. You know, like no, no what? What's no? You know what I mean? There could be. Is that an issue as well?
What? Slapping my kids?
No,
Rotan?
slapping our kids is not a problem. No, with the special needs children.
I grew up rotan so much.
Yeah, I know,
I was
right?
about to say that. All I
Exactly.
could think was my parents
Yeah.
gave it to me when I was younger. I
Yeah,
actually.
our parents had no issues with that, but nowadays, you know, you
No.
have to be extra careful because
yeah.
you know they can run off to the authorities
Yeah.
with social
They have
media and everything.
authorities, yeah.
You know, they can take a picture of, you know. So yeah, what do you, apa nama ni? What is it? How do you do that? The not fun part of
Well, you know,
that education.
I think you got to know what your boundaries are. Okay, for example, I'm playing with a kid. The boundary is you're not going to be able to throw anything. Say I'm in a play session, right? And the rule is we don't throw stuff in the room, right? It might
Okay.
hit something broke. It might break.
All right.
And so following through in a firm but gentle, firm but very neutral way, right? So I'll play dumb, for example, right?
Oh, okay.
If a kid is tantruming, I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't speak cry. I know English. I know you can point.
You verbalize with them
I
to
don't
tell
understand
them.
what you mean. And I'm super neutral and I'm super calm. And at one point, the kid will be like, this crying is not working out. You know, and many times when it takes training, I mean, it takes practice. But if you're such a force of like neutrality,
Yeah.
you find the kid inevitably will drop it and they will end up coming to you like,
Yeah.
Even that's
explaining what it is that they wanted in the first place.
you know. And so you got to know your boundaries, right? So
Right,
for
right.
example, one of the autistic kids I knew, he would love to run across the street on the zebra crossing.
Oh gosh.
Yes, like my son, he loves to see recurring patterns.
And
And
okay.
so are you going to let your kid run across the street?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
No,
right,
yeah.
You can cry for 3 days straight, but you're not going to be able to cross the street because
Yeah.
my long-term thing in this is to keep you alive.
Yeah.
And out of love, I say no out of love, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think we live in a generation where people are afraid to say no,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I always say no, it just means yes to something else. No, you can have this toy, but you can have that.
Ah, okay.
No, you can't
yeah,
eat the whole tub of Oreos,
Yeah.
but you have 25,000 fruits or whatever here that you can have.
Right, right,
Not-
right.
It's not that
Giving
I'm
them
not giving you
options,
food.
basically.
Options, right?
Ah.
You give a ton of positive options that they can see, like, I'm not being rational here. And I believe kids, you have to assume intelligence, even in that kid who cannot talk.
Yeah.
Assume
Definitely.
Of
intelligence,
course.
assume understanding,
Yeah.
and treat them with respect. And yeah, that'll be it. My disciplining is I'm to stick to my boundaries no matter what you do, you're not getting it,
Yes.
but I'm gentle.
I see a lot of
All
parents
right.
who, kind of tell their kids, if you do that next time this,
Yeah.
if you do that next time that. Are you guilty of that?
Yeah.
So I
I'm
never do that.
cringing like crazy
Yeah,
right
I don't
now.
do that. I don't do
Yeah.
that. Like Daniel said, follow through with my, with the students,
Follow
with the
through,
kids.
right? Okay.
If they misbehave, that's it. There's no second, third, fourth chance. That's it. You get whatever punishment that
I promised you earlier. All
Stick
right.
in the corner, whatever, because they will sense your what is it? They will sense whether you're real or not.
Yeah, whether you mean it or you just
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, because I'm guilty of that actually. Like buat lagi siap. It translated it means if you do it again, watch out.
Yeah.
For watch out for what?
What?
They
For
have
what?
no
They
idea.
don't know. Yeah,
You
so
know,
they'll-
and they do it
they'll do
again
it
and again and
again.
again, and I keep
Yeah.
repeating it.
See,
It's like just-
I feel like in my case, because I'm a single mother, I have no space for,
Wait for it.
Yes,
Yeah,
I have no space for it because otherwise I have 4 crazy kids running around and
Yeah.
I'm by myself and
Yeah.
I've got to deal with it myself.
Right.
I don't have the not say patience, but I discipline them.
Yeah.
If you misbehave, that's it.
Yeah, and I suppose they have to know that you mean it because you're not only the disciplinarian, but they are also the person they run to.
Yeah.
When they have an issue,
Exactly.
so that trust level.
Right.
If you fall short on discipline, what's going to keep you from
Right.
falling short everywhere else?
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So now just to wrap things up, okay. I want to talk about guilt. Okay. Parents. You see, when you found out, when you noticed, you mentioned that when you noticed Isa, you spent a lot of time with Isa, and then you noticed after a while the behavioral changes and whatnot, and then your wife went so far as to
Sleep on the couch.
Yeah, threaten you to sleep on the couch if you didn't do anything about it. Okay, so some parents maybe for some reason or another don't see that.
Right.
They don't see the apa nama ni, the connection. They don't see that change, or when they do, it's a bit too late, and somebody else tells them or something like that. And of course, there's an overpowering guilt
Yeah.
there. Like, how can I not see it? It's my child, How can I not know something that was made from me, that came from me, So what do you? Well, first, have you ever seen a case like that? And two, what would you say to parents like that who feel overwhelmingly guilty for not noticing this change in their child?
You see it all the time.
Oh, yeah?
It is the defect, the norm. And I would say that what helped me and helped my other parents who went for the training that we did, it's guilt is going to be there. I have guilt every day. I work with a lot of kids. And I started off by being the main primary teacher for my son. So when I started working with other kids, the guilt was like, I'm spending time with other kids. Should I be spending time with Isa? Right?
I have that.
Right.
Yeah.
I totally
Okay,
have that.
so it's either the educator's guilt or the parental guilt.
Precisely. It's
Righto.
not easy to have that clear separation between I'm a teacher now and I'm a father now. It's not easy. I say overcome guilt by immersing yourself with interacting with your kid. Better late than never. Just being guilty is not going to suddenly help your kid.
Yeah.
It's not going to help anyone, right? So
Yeah.
you start by having that interaction.
Right.
Yeah, I like that term. Don't look back. Just move forward.
Yeah.
The guilt, like you said, the guilt won't get you anywhere. You just need to not look back about, oh my God, I should have seen it. Why not? Blah blah blah. You need to just recognize it and then move forward. Work your way from there. Because otherwise, nothing's gonna get done when you feel that guilt. I mean, I feel guilty. I work all the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like I barely spend time with my kids.
Yeah.
But I move forward. I take what I can, the few hours that I have with my kids, and I just move forward. I make sure that it's a good 2-3 hours. There's no point to look back and say, oh, you know, like I should have seen it coming. Why didn't I notice? It's gonna eat you up. It's gonna eat you up as a parent, because you know you've got so many other things to worry about. More in especially in the future. So when they grow up.
Exactly. I mean, you know, our kids are like barely teens, and
Right.
if you're already gonna
I have
feel that kind of guilt and like, I can't do anything, can't move, pingsan lah. You know how are the kids gonna grow up? So,
Could I add in something about fathers? Just fathers, if you're listening, any dads here, just
Yes, please,
really get
please.
involved. You gotta be. Men sometimes we grieve, we feel guilt by separating, by distancing ourselves, right, from the situation. Nah, get involved. You're very important to your dynamics of your family.
Right.
You know, just get involved.
okay. Yes.
Because I see a lot of I see a lot of dads who moms get overwhelmed a lot. Whether they're a stay-at-home mom or they're a working mom, they are very overwhelmed.
Yes.
For the father to come in, even if he feels like he's not doing anything, just come in and be a moral support, emotional support to the wife.
Yeah.
It helps a lot. It relieves a lot of stress in the whole thing. The relationship between the parent and the child, the relationship between
the parents.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna add in a bit more there. The emotional support is fantastic. You know, to be just physically there and emotionally there as well. That's fantastic. But don't let that be the benchmark lah.
Of course,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
From there, move on,
Move
and
on.
you know, maybe up to the, because like Daniel, you mentioned
Do
you
the
and your wife
laundry.
love the reading and whatnot, so you guys went right into the rabbit hole. You don't even necessarily have to go into the rabbit hole. It's just a little bit more than just being around would be awesome. Do you know what I mean? So okay, that's fantastic. All right, now just a little bit lah, because we've been talking about it. There is a case that's happening right now in Malaysia, which is very unfortunate, and due to a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunication, and maybe it's because it's taking a long time, so not the right kind of information is getting there properly. The case of Zikri, if I'm not mistaken, Zikri, who is a 22-year-old autistic person. I can't say boy, right? It's 20 a person who was arrested for allegedly inappropriate touching. Was that the thing?
Yeah.
So it breaks my heart. But you know, I mean, I suppose the person who was touched probably didn't know what was going on in the first place.
Yeah.
So she probably freaked out as well.
Yeah.
So okay, so do you see any way of resolving this issue
Okay, first thing, some good stuff has come out from this already. Number one, the police had a press conference with an NGO and Permata, I think, where they agreed that they're going to redraw the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, when it comes to dealing with individuals with special needs, right? Because there was no SOP for individuals like these. So that's something good. You know, let's start with the positive. Number two, I know Zikri personally. So straight up, okay, I know him personally. I know the mom. There are two victims here. The girl was a victim in the sense that she was inappropriately touched, and she has a right to be traumatized.
Yes,
You
of course,
can't downplay that. But very important to know that at Zikri's level, right, even putting him in jail. All right, if the charge went through, he wouldn't understand why he's in jail. Like, so jail only really works. The whole purpose of like jail or any sort of punishment is to help let the individual. Okay, you got to think about what you did wrong and not repeat that offense. Okay.
Yes, and this is what we're gonna do to you if you do.
So when you come out, hopefully you'll be a reformed individual.
Right.
He would have no clue what he's doing in there in the first place. It's like you go into a foreign country and they're reading just say you made a small crime.
Right.
And they read out the verdict to you in a foreign language, and you had no clue as to why was I given 10 years. And they would just speak to you in German. Sorry, no English allowed. And so it's not fair for you. And so people like Zikri would have no clue, and other autistic individuals would have no clue as well what's going on.
Right.
So they wouldn't be going like, oh, we got to learn from Zikri's case, right?
Exactly.
I'm an autistic individual. I better not do what he did.
I'm on the spectrum. I
Right.
should be.
So that
Good point,
outcome
good
that they were maybe thinking was fair.
Yeah.
I mean, from the family, the
But
other
not
family,
thought through.
there's no positive outcome for people like that. Now, when it comes, why was he alone? Why was he not? I want to just talk about. It's tiring being vigilant 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Imagine you have a 22-year-old kid who needs to be
Watched.
like a toddler. It's tiring. And in the party where they were at, you inevitably get a small talk. They're like, they start having a chat. I'll have a chat with you, and just suddenly it's like, hey, where's Zikri? Right? And so that's what happened. That is what happened. And I know Zikri, very sensory driven. He's very driven by any sensory input, and so it's very impulsive.
Yeah. By watching, listening as well. Yeah.
And you don't know it until it happens. So you say, oh, you should have foreseen this. I know Zikri. I've interacted with him a number of times. I never saw any kind of behavior that would have led me to think he's going to do something like that.
Yeah.
We've been around adult women.
Yeah, but
you know.
it goes back to he is a human being.
Precisely.
He's just extra curious. Where you won't be bothered, he's curious. Where you're curious, he probably where you would be affected. Like if you were put in jail, he couldn't be bothered. He wouldn't understand. Okay, I'm in jail. Wow.
I found in this case that it was a nice thing, a lesson to learn where I think people in general, they need to learn a bit about autistic.
Yeah, autism.
My kids, because of where I work, they now find it very interesting because obviously in every school there's that one child, whether it's completely autistic or on the spectrum. They don't look, and because autistic kids or on the spectrum children, they're known at school as the weirdo.
The weirdo, yeah.
Because they don't talk, they don't look at you.
Yeah.
My kids don't look at them as the weirdo anymore because I explained it to them. They've seen me at work, and they've kind of understood that because I mentioned many times before that these kids, they're absolutely brilliant children.
Yeah.
They're absolutely amazing, and my kids understand that. And instead of being, like, for example, mean and they bully the child, they're very sensitive and they actually accommodate to the child.
Yeah.
And whereas same thing with adults, if they're educated to know a bit about this, I think more aware of children or people like that have that are autistic, things like this would be avoided.
Yeah.
Again,
the awareness needs to be upped a bit, at least to the extent where, because Daniel did mention that it's not everybody can take this, right? So if you can't be that person to be with them, to help them, to accommodate to them, don't add on any negativity. Just walk away. Just let it be known you're not the kind. I can't do this, but go ahead. You don't have to I can't do this because you're a weirdo. That's not gonna work either. Do you know what I mean? So like macam there's no need to be nasty lah, basically. So so please, people.
It was a very unfortunate case.
Yeah, that was. But lah, alhamdulillah, there is
some good came out of it.
Inshallah,
the final thing I want to add to it is I hope that away from the media spotlight, that both families can find a private time to get together.
Yeah,
sit down, get to know each
Inshallah.
other in a different context.
Yes,
maybe she can see Zikri in a different context, and
inshallah, and so that her trauma may just be lifted, inshallah.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so okay, this is what it's like either. We don't have an actual name for it yet, can we? Just call it rapid fire. But you have to answer the first thing that comes to your mind. It's either or lah, okay? It's an either or kind of question. And I don't mind an overlap. So you just answer whatever it is that you can, okay? So, kale or spinach?
Spinach, cheaper.
Kale.
Okay.
Expensive.
Yes. It's so hard though. It's so Siu Lim. Okay. Sorry, it's rapid fire. Rapid
Fire,
layer.
go.
Okay. Watermelon or mango?
Watermelon.
Mango.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Android.
Modern Family or Friends?
Modern Family. Oh, friends.
Neither.
Really?
Oh my God.
Okay,
We're
judgment.
not friends anymore.
Sorry, judgment. Yes, slight
Not
judgment
friends.
towards you. Daniel, really none?
Really?
Neither?
Really?
Okay, what do you watch?
I'm okay with either. No choice, no preference.
No preference?
No preference.
I don't think
Oh my
we can be
God,
friends
so
anymore.
Modern Family. I mean, I love Friends, but Modern Family. Okay, never mind. Yoga or Pilates?
Pilates.
Pilates.
Okay.
Do something.
Instagram or Facebook?
Instagram.
All right. Cooking or gardening?
Cooking.
Cooking.
Okay. Nice. Cake or ice cream?
Ice
Cake.
cream.
Paris or Mecca?
Paris.
Makkah.
You pause, Daniel. Next question. Okay.
I mean, my God. I didn't hear the second one.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of Paris in Makkah now.
Yeah, actually can. All right, okay. Movies or TV shows? You see, you can't ask parents this question.
I don't.
Whatever we have time for.
Yes, exactly.
Dude.
And then I fall asleep the first 10 minutes. So
Yeah, so maybe TV shows lah. At least we can
Okay.
watch it. You know, there's
Sure.
a continuity kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Photography or drawing?
Photography. What?
Both, man.
Really?
I started off drawing, then only photography. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Indoor or outdoor?
Outdoor.
Outdoor.
So much for healthy. Day or night? Day or
Day.
night?
Day.
Day.
Day. Okay. Cheese or yogurt?
Yogurt.
Cher or Madonna? I swear these questions
Cher.
are mine.
Who
Cher.
made up these questions? Madonna.
Really? Cher? Wow.
Judge again. No.
Yeah. Do you believe in love? Okay. Pickles or papaya?
Papaya.
You haven't eaten at Patty's and Pie. They got good pickles. Okay. Ultraman or Batman?
Batman.
Ultraman.
You don't know who Ultraman is, do
I
you?
do. I do.
You do?
My kids used to watch it. It's
Okay.
quite annoying.
All right. Burger King or KFC? Dude.
Patty
seriously.
and pie.
Patty and pie. Booyah. Okay. Bicycles or rollerblades?
Bicycles.
Ah.
Ice skate.
I go.
Yeah, I skate too. Aren't you Californian?
Yeah, I bike.
And you don't skate?
I do, but I
Don't
like
you guys have
biking.
like specified
Now I'm
boardwalks or
Californian,
something?
but I've been in Malaysia for like 11 years. So I go.
So
I
that-
go cycling, spinning.
Wow, that's so weird. Okay, cool. Green or blue?
Blue. I'm wearing a green
Why is
shirt.
it?
That
Why
pause-
is it pink? Why is it?
Yeah,
pink
that
one?
pause was because Daniel's wearing green, so he actually looked at this shirt and then went blue. I didn't get yeah. So blue. Okay, cool.
You didn't have to look at her.
I don't know.
Look-
It's
look
not, okay. All right. One more. Sorry, it's for me. Okay, for me. One more. No. Okay, forget it. It's
No,
fine. No.
ask.
It's okay. It's
Why?
okay. I lost it. Darn it. I lost it.
It's your fault, Daniel.
Okay. Yeah. Ooh. Yes. Okay. Play gym, playground.
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 They're both very tiring. Why?
Playground.
Why is that even an option?
Playground. Yeah.
You get some vitamin D at the same time.
Okay.
Okay, good answer.
In Malaysia, seriously, it's been
Yeah.
raining non-stop.
That's why you gotta go.
You go in the rain.
Pick your time. You gotta go early.
All right. Sorry, I'm a play gym kind of person.
Yeah
At
lah.
least they're,
Air
indoors. Yeah, air
You know,
conditioned.
Malaysians are deficient in vitamin D3.
Yes,
Banyak.
that's true.
Yeah.
I can't tell. Okay. So yeah, that was our rapid fire question.
That was fun.
I'm so sorry. I'm still on the Paris Mecca. Paris. Oh, That's it for our rapid fire.
Oh my God, Astaghfirullah.
Ah, it's a winner. So, all right, now, really, we have run out of time now, but this is so awesome. Thank you so much.
welcome,
I'm not,
thanks.
I'm feeling a little bit better about myself as an adult. Not so much parent yet, because I have
I
to.
don't think we are.
Yeah,
we'll
we
feel
can.
good about me. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
We are.
But our kids are cute. They're okay, right,
Yeah.
Siu Lim?
So annoying, but so cute.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They've got their characters and all that. So it's fantastic. Okay, so it's Alhamdulillah ala kulli hal. And thank you all so much for listening in. Do tune in to our next episode coming up pretty soon. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Siu Lim.
Thank
Love to
you.
your little ones. Your spouse, who is our hero, I think, after the day.
Yes,
So, yes.
most definitely.
Okay. And yeah, we'll catch you all soon, inshallah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.